John in South Carolina. You're live with Eric and Jamie. It says that you're a religious caller. Let's get into it. Let's disagree with something. Let's talk about it. Let's work it through. John, what do you want to talk to us about today?
Hey, I'm on air now.
You're on.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay, man, I'm just trying to see what's going on with y'all up there, man. I don't know if y'all know we was listening. Y'all were cursing that man out and stuff just now.
Well, do you have a problem with cussing?
I mean, y'all on air, and I mean, all kind of people listening and stuff, man, and y'all don't even care how you talking to people. And I mean, I was just calling. I was trying not to be disrespectful, nothing, but I mean, y'all around here telling people it ain't no God and stuff. It's the holiday season, man.
Oh,
why y'all
so let
doing
me
stuff like this?
Okay,
let me
John,
jump in here very briefly.
Jamie, please save me from myself.
John, let me jump in here very briefly if I can. I in no way meant to be disrespectful to Austin or I've forgotten the order before him, the previous caller. I can honestly say I don't intend to cuss anyone out on the show or, I do my best not to even accidentally sound condescending or make anyone feel like they are less than. We're all human beings, and particularly when people call into the show, they generally call in because they want to have a conversation, and I don't want anyone to feel like they've been punished for that.
Jamie speaks for himself.
Well, I will say that
You just
sometimes
got a nasty mouth, man.
Oh, we're going to talk.
Well,
I'm not going to
ask.
Finish.
I'm not going to ask you for a kiss. It's fine.
And then he's like, "Is you gay or something, man? I'm a man. You gonna kiss me?"
No, I'm saying I'm not. You said you have a nasty mouth.
You're
and
not gay?
I am. But that's not what I meant.
Wow.
What I meant was.
Y'all talk about that on here too?
Yeah, why not?
So what you said was you have a dirty mouth, and I said, well, it's fine. You don't have to kiss me, which would be. It was kind of a joke. Sorry, I was trying to.
But there could be kids watching this thing and stuff, man. Y'all.
So,
man.
Okay, John.
And they should learn that you can joke about things.
Okay, so it's my turn. My turn?
I think, yeah. John,
Hi, John. How are you doing?
I'm in shock and awe, man. I'm
Me
gonna pray
too.
for y'all after this call.
That's condescending.
Lord,
so
man. Y'all
let's
they told me to listen to this show.
Yeah. So let's
y'all
start.
My mind, man.
I'm glad. Let's start somewhere we can agree, okay? And then we'll move out from there. Do you feel like talking about religion is something that no one is allowed to do?
I think we should preach the word of God and preach to love the people and stuff. And I mean,
so let me ask you.
Time of Jesus' birth.
What about John?
That.
John, I just asked you a simple question because I want to move forward through this, right? So, do you think that religion, not Christianity, do you think that religion is something that we cannot talk about?
Well, that's what I'm saying. We should preach the word of God.
No,
yes.
I asked you yes or no, and I didn't say anything about your God. I said, do you think religion is something that we cannot talk about?
There's only one God, man.
Do you think there's only one religion, John?
I mean, there's people that got it confused, but they know one God, man.
Okay.
I mean, if you read the Bible,
John,
you know that right away.
No, you don't. And John, right? So you answered. The answer that you gave was there are other religions out there, right? Are you okay with talking about other religions?
I mean, if you just want to waste your time and stuff and go to hell in the end, I mean, ain't no need to.
So then let's move to your religion, right? And I'm going to bring up an example that I bring up all the time, right? So I have a book. My name is Eric. I have the book of Eric, right? I'm going to grab it. And this book, right, it's a holy book. In this book, it says that I created the universe, right? So what would you, if I said, this book has the truth in it and it says that it's true inside of it, would you agree that it's true?
I don't understand that.
Okay, let me start with something else. How do you know that your religion is true and other religions are false?
Because that's what everybody's grown up with learning. I mean, everybody.
So if someone grows up in another country, No, if someone grows up in another country, John, if someone grows up in a Muslim country, then they're going to grow up hearing about the word of Allah. So do you think that what you just described is a good way to determine if a thing is true?
But that's why we have people going out spreading the truth of the word of God so you can reach these people.
Okay. You just completely sidestepped what I asked you, right? Do you get that you just sidestepped what I asked you, or do you want me to ask you again?
I mean, you're talking about people having other religions and books that are just not true.
I didn't ask you. Hold on. I didn't ask you anything about the truth value. I'm trying to give you simple questions, right? Because I want to follow you because I want to know where you're at, right? And what I asked you is, how do you know your religion is true? And you said, because I grew up with it. And so I said, other people grow up with other religions, right? That is a good way for me to give you an example that your reason is not a good one, because that would make every religion that people grow up with true. Would you agree with that?
I had experiences. I know. I didn't.
Okay.
I used to be out in the streets hard, man.
Stop. We can talk about other reasons, but would you agree with me that because I grew up with it is not a good reason to believe a religion?
Well, I guess so, but I mean, at that age and stuff,
I love that.
Maybe
because
at that age, maybe I wasn't sure of it. But when I got locked up, man, and I did all that time and stuff, and the Lord came to me and got my life straight, and I got myself together and stuff now, that means a whole lot. And I wouldn't have been the person I am now.
Well,
and we're glad that you got your life together.
I'm happy that you got your, exactly what Jamie said. I'm happy you got your life together, right?
Congratulations.
Do you know that in prison, a lot of people use Islam and say that they get their life together reading the Quran? Are you aware of that, yes or no?
I mean, I can't really speak on that. I watched Malcolm X back in the day and seen how things, but I mean,
are you?
It just ain't the same situation. I mean, look,
actually, it's the exact same situation. So I guess I'm asking, do you know that happens? Yes or no?
But that's like a situation like Malcolm X followed them people and they end up killing them.
No. I'll ask again. Do you know that people say that Islam got them and their lives together when they go to prison? That there are people who believe that and say that? Did you know that they exist?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay. So if those people are saying that, their religion, right, Islam, is what got them out of, and got their lives together and all of that, and you're saying that Christianity is what you used to get your life together out of prison, then would you agree that that is also not a very good reason to believe that a God is true, because that makes every God true?
Well, it's like on the end of the day, when they die, they're going to find out the truth. I mean, they can believe all kinds of stuff all they want, but on judgment day,
we can get to that.
Crying.
We can get to that. But again, I want to finish this, right? And the way we finish this is I need you to let me know, do you agree that what you just told me is not good evidence to believe a thing, right? It got my life together does not make a thing true or not true. And I gave you an example to help illustrate that fact, and you agreed with that example. So would you agree with me that saying it got my life together is not a good reason to believe a thing is true?
But I mean, if I wouldn't have spoke to them preachers and stuff while I was locked up, man, I'd be right back out there now selling dope.
You just sidestepped my question.
Right back out there selling dope, and I'd probably be dead to be back in jail.
John, you just sidestepped my question. I'm not saying it didn't help you. I'm glad it sounds like it did help you. I'm not saying anything bad about that. I'm asking you if the reason you gave me is a good reason to believe. And I showed you why it's not. Would you agree that if somebody said, I found Islam and it helped me get my life together, would you agree that that's a good reason to believe that Islam is true?
I guess it's a good thing for a temporary relief or something, but when you go to hell and you burn it forever,
John,
if somebody pull you out of fire for 2 seconds and then put you back into eternity,
we're gonna get that. I just need a yes or no from you before we're gonna get to there.
Yeah, it's a temporary relief or something.
Yeah, but it's not a good reason. Like, it's not an actually good reason to believe something is true. You can have other reasons to believe, John. You don't need to hinge everything on this one, but this is just not a good reason. Like if you built everything on the foundation that it got you out of prison, that's like a house of cards. Like that's toothpicks. It's not a good foundation. I would advise you not to use that as a good reason because, I mean, somebody could convince you of a whole lot of things if that was your real reason, right? If that was your reason, I could convince you that Islam is true. I could even convince you that I'm God, right? I could convince you that my book is true. Oh, easy.
You going to die on the cross and come back?
No, because that's not what you told me. Yeah. I'm going to help people get their lives together. And then they're going to say that believing the book of Eric got their lives together. And that makes my book true, right?
You ain't shed no blood and died for everybody on earth. I ain't never read your book.
Okay, so again, I'll get there. I will talk to you about that, John, but I'm not going to let you not answer the question. Right? Because if you ask me something...
I'm trying my best to answer. I mean, cool. They getting a temporary help out of a bad situation, but it don't help for eternity.
So, please, it sounds like you agree with me. Please, John, is that a good reason to believe something because somebody said it helped them? Yes or no?
No, because you could be tricked in the end.
Exactly. So is that a good reason to believe? Yes or no?
Not in every situation, no. Because you could be wrong sometimes.
John, I think you're absolutely right. And you know what? Out of all of the things that you said were rude about, out of everything that you said were disrespectful about, we just found two very important things that we agree on. Right?
And I just hope all that help get y'all to Christ, man.
So, John, you want to talk about hell or do you want to talk about Jesus Christ?
I mean, it's all together. I mean, it's basically the path in the road where we're gonna all end up. I mean, I'm going with Jesus. I'm not trying to.
If I told you that I am God and you need to believe in Eric, you need to fall to your knees and praise and worship Eric Murphy, right? And if you don't, you're going to go to hell, my hell, right? Which is 20% worse than your hell, right? Would you believe me?
That sounds like a cult, man.
I agree, and which is why your religion sounds like a cult to me.
Oh man, y'all.
Do you see?
I can't believe
do you see what I mean?
That's a word of God like that.
So here's the thing, John. Here's the thing. There is nothing that is above us being able to talk about. There is nothing that deserves to be held up on a pedestal and not referenced or given deference, right? John, do you think that your God is so weak that he needs you to defend him?
No, I mean, he's going to judge everybody on Judgment Day.
So if your God is that powerful, then what does it matter?
I mean, it's just...
Do you think calling me and telling me I'm... Okay. Do you think that I don't... Okay, hold on. No, everything can wait. Everything can wait just a second, right? Hold on. All of that can wait. John, during this conversation, you can replay this. I treat you as a person with respect. I don't treat ideas with respect. Ideas should be talked about, especially true ideas, right? If your Bible is true, it doesn't need you to tell people, how dare you, because they should be able to investigate it and it be true, right? You shouldn't have to protect it from investigating. Either it's true or it's not. What I did not do is I did not call you an immoral person. And what you just did is say something about my character as a human. Do you know anything about me, John?
From what I learned about this station y'all on and stuff, there been some terrible things on there. And
I'm talking about Eric Murphy, this person who's talking to you. Do you know anything about how I am as a human being?
I know y'all preach against the word of God.
We don't preach at all. And that is evident in the way that you're describing what we do, because people call us. I don't go out to a street corner, and I sure as hell don't call in and say, how dare you? People find us and talk to us, right? And they talk to us about what they believe, and we ask them why, and we meet them where we're at, right? I just happen to have read the Bible many times and can talk about it, right? That's one of the reasons people want to call in. But I don't preach. That's something your side does. That's something Christians do. That's something religious people do. And you know what else religious people do? They condemn people and try and tell them that they're going to suffer forever. Right? That's not okay either. But I'm talking to you, right? I'm talking to you.
You know that's what's going to happen.
I read the Bible, yes, and your Bible does not stand up to reality. And if you thought about it, right? If you took just a second, John, to realize that you can look into the Bible and find out whether it's true or not. Because when you hold something aside, when you put something up on a pedestal, you can never examine it, right? What if you're wrong? What if you're wrong? Is your God so weak that he would get mad at you for wondering? Is your God so impotent that you couldn't test whether or not what your God's saying is true? Is your God so selfish or so afraid that he wouldn't want you to open up the book that you're talking about? You need to read the Bible. Read the Bible and find out whether or not it's true. Test it and find out whether or not it's true. But don't call and say, how dare you test the book that says it's true for being true? Because that's ridiculous.
If the Bible ain't true, where do you put your faith at there?
So, that is a wonderful question.
Yeah,
and I've been capitalizing on this for a while. Jamie, that's a wonderful question for you.
Yeah, so there's a slight distinction here when you say, what do you put your faith in? It needs to be clarified what you mean by faith. Because if you mean, what do I believe without question, there isn't a thing. If you mean, how do I live my life and go about my day and determine whether or not I should be good to other people or kind or what is moral or immoral. So on the first question, what do I believe without question? There isn't anything that I believe without question. I think that thinking about what we believe and making sure that it matches up with what's good and moral is something that we need to do constantly because humans are flawed. I think we can agree on that point, and humans can be wrong about what is good or bad for humans. And that leads perfectly into my second point, which is as far as how do I go about my life, how do I determine what is the right thing to do, what's the right way to interact, what's the right thing to say, and that's by examining, okay, is it good or bad for me to drink water, right? I can look at the medical knowledge and, common sense and all these things and know that humans need water to live. It's fine for me to drink water, right? So I can examine what the result of an action will be and what effect it will have on human beings and whether or not that effect is good or bad. And if I have, 2 glasses of water and I have me and a friend and we're both thirsty, I can examine what the result of me taking one of those glasses of water for myself and sharing one with my friend will be. And part of that result is making a fairer, nicer world and reminding my friend that I care about him or her or they and that I want them to be hydrated, for example, in the middle of a marathon. So if your question about faith was, again, wrapping up, if your question about faith was, what do you believe without question? The answer is nothing. And if your question about faith was more directed at how do you live your life, it's by examining what my actions can and will do to other human beings and striving to do the nicest, best thing for them.
What do you think, John?
I'm just lost for words with y'all, man. I mean, y'all just going on and on trying to go past the word of God down and stuff, man. I mean, it's like what I was saying when I said, what do you have faith in if you don't believe in the Bible? Like imagine you out there on a lonesome road with nobody in sight, and you get in a car accident, you run to a deer or something out there, and you stuck up in the car and you bleeding, broken bones and stuff. I mean, your phone fell out the car or something. I mean, sure. And you're dying. You know you're dying. Mm-hmm. You ain't going to call on the Lord to try and help you?
John, the Lord put me there. If what you're saying is true, right, then you have to face the fact that every single person that situation happens to, Everyone who suffers, everyone who is born to only live a few days and then die in pain, every disease was given to them by your God, right? What is more likely that truly evil monster that you call a God exists, or that we're just
human beings?
We're just here, man. Because I really don't think
Which do you think is more likely,
I don't
John?
think that's unbelievable. I think that it takes a whole lot more to believe what you're saying than, where we're at.
Yeah, what do you think about...
Y'all call the Lord a monster.
Well, if the shoe fits.
Wow, man. I'm going to pray for y'all, man.
Yeah, well, you know what, man?
Really pray for y'all, man.
So,
I don't know what to say, man.
So here,
I hope y'all get yourself right before it's too late, man.
Can I ask you just one more? Can we talk just a little bit longer, or are you?
I'll try, man. I don't know what to do for y'all, man. I called to try and reach my hand out, man.
Here's one of the things.
I call out of love.
And you know what?
I feel like he called out a judgment. I feel like he wanted to call and judge.
I mean, that is also a perspective that I understand. But I will say, I think I understand where you're coming from, John, because I once, sat where you sit as far as a perspective on whether or not Christianity and a belief in God is a good thing for the world. And if I can, I'd like to tell you, I'd like to have a little bit of a conversation with you that sort of mirrors what in the language of Christianity, led me away from God. And if I do that, and you have a response that's sufficiently persuasive, you might be able to lead me back to God. I've had this conversation a few times. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm a human being. I think we can agree, again, human beings don't always get it right. There's human beings that believe completely contradictory things. There is a God, Jesus is God, God's name is Allah, God's name is Yahweh, God's name is Vishnu, right? They can't all be right. Maybe they're all wrong, but certainly they can't all be right, and so most human beings are wrong about, the name of God, we'll say. And so if you're willing to have this sort of brief conversation with me, I would love to have it with you. And then we'll let you go, because this has probably been a very shocking conversation that you haven't had before.
It takes a while to...
It
takes a while to digest.
Yeah, it takes a while to digest. One of the things I would say is if you can bring yourself to do it, going back and rewatching this part of the episode, I know that I will, and I'll go back and I'll go, oh man, I wish I'd said this instead of that. And, maybe you'll call back or we'll chat again and we'll chat in a friendly way and maybe we'll clarify something. But one of the things that made me think about whether or not there's this omniscient God, right? A God that knows everything that's happening. Stop me if I say something about God that you think isn't true. But the idea of a God that knows everything that is happening, that knows what's gonna happen, that cares about human beings and wants us to do well and wants us to be, thrive and be happy. If not on Earth, then in the afterlife, and a God that created the universe, right? So do you think that God created the universe?
In no other way it could occur.
Okay. And then do you think that God created the universe knowing that the Earth was going to be formed and that humans were going to live on it and that humans were going to have the free will that he gave us and that we were going to end up sinning, probably?
He put us all here. It's right in the book.
Right. So what I understand about this God is that there's an all-powerful God that has set up a system of judgment that means you have to believe in me, that has created people that he knows will not believe and that will go to hell, a hell that he created. So in what way is God, who created these people the way they are, who created the system by which they are judged and who created the hell that they will go to, not responsible for them being in hell?
Well, when God first created hell, he created for Satan because he's a deceiver.
Here's what I will say. Imagine a man with a house and a child. and that man creates a terrible, terrible, fiery prison in his basement for people that try and attack the house and hurt his children. And then that man puts his child, who's very curious and clumsy, in a room with beautiful and unbelievably fragile vases. And that man says, don't break any vases, knowing full well that his child will disobey him and break those vases, and that as a punishment for doing that, he will send his child to the basement prison of fire and suffering. And the child does that, and the man sends his son to that basement of fiery prison and hell. Would you say that that man has treated his child fairly?
Well, I mean, if you read in the Bible, it does.
No. So, John, I'm not talking about the Bible. Hold on, John. I'm not talking about the Bible. I'm talking about the hypothetical situation that I was saying. You know, a man with a house and a basement of fire.
Well, he going to prison for all that.
Yeah, but does he like? Did he do the right thing? Yeah. Did he do the right thing? Did he treat his child fairly by putting them in that situation?
Well, that's man. We can't put man.
No, I know. But basically, I'm trying to get to the point where that guy, houseman, definitely did something wrong. So what I'm being told is that there is a God who created the place we live and who created a fire torture prison originally for other beings, who then put us in a world and gave us free will and told us not to do the things that he ultimately knew we would do, and then decides to take us, things that he has ultimate power over, and trap them in a prison that he created. Do you think that that God is treating human beings fairly?
I feel so, because it's the fact that we got to get ourselves right with him. And if you let the devil deceive you,
when I described that situation as far as one human being treating another human being that way, you said it wasn't good. But God, you give a pass to. God is allowed to treat humans unfairly and poorly.
Well, God passes the ultimate judgment on everything.
But does he pass the right judgment? Do you believe that that's good?
We can't question God and what he do.
Well, I can, and so can you.
Yeah, just imagine some mobster walking in and saying, oh wow, it would be a shame if something happened to your business. You need to pay me
and then
to
it won't
protect your place, right? Mm-hmm. You've heard of this, right?
I've seen like mobster movies, good.
Yeah. Okay. So then you know what I'm talking about.
Protection money.
Yeah. So how is your God any different in the situation you just gave, right? If your God's just all powerful and an asshole, why does that make your God good? Well, if somebody is going to say, oh, you need to do this or else I'm going to torture you, right? Mm-hmm. Then that means that actually, you know what? That's a really good place. So let's say that I come up with a God that will torture you even worse. Will you believe in that God now?
You can't put like fictional characters over God. I mean, you can't
until you can show me that your God is not a fictional character. Then that's exactly what I'm doing. That's exactly what I'm doing.
If you really, I mean,
I really don't believe. And I really don't believe because, John,
stuff about God, but if y'all don't believe in
John,
yes.
Do you think that we haven't thought about this?
I really don't think so. That's why I'm trying to help y'all, man.
Well, John,
I don't know y'all, but I got love for you, and I want to see y'all in heaven one day, man.
John, would you be bothered at all if you were in heaven and saw that I was in hell? Would you be bothered for 1 second?
I kind of feel bad for myself because this would feel like the moment to help y'all, and if I don't help y'all,
no, hold on,
I'm gonna probably really feel bad.
You'd feel bad in heaven? What about other people that you know that you think are going to hell? Would you feel bad, John?
if I reached out to them and I didn't do enough to save them, I would.
Yeah. So
I've helped a lot of people along the way, and I want to help y'all.
That sounds like a very unhappy heaven. Do you think that you can be unhappy in heaven?
You're in paradise.
Wait, but you just said that you would be sad. You said you would feel bad.
Yeah, because I'm trying to help you guys.
Sure.
And
So are you saying are you lying to me now and you actually wouldn't feel bad, or are you lying about the heaven because you actually would feel bad? You're lying in one of those, because both of those can't be true. You're telling me a thing and then you're saying the opposite is true, right? So would you feel bad in heaven if you knew that we were in hell, or someone that you loved was in hell?
Yeah, you're going to feel bad for them.
Okay, then how is that paradise, John?
Where you at is good. You got a new body.
Would that prevent you?
Aches and pains.
Yeah, would that make you feel like you don't feel bad about the people in hell now?
Well, I guess you're gonna feel bad if somebody didn't get their life straight. Yeah.
I agree, which is why there's no way that heaven can exist. Not the one you're talking about, because you just came across a point, John. It's called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when you have two ideas at the same time, and those two ideas cannot exist at the same time, right? And so if you want to talk about heaven, if you want us to listen, if you want us to hear what you have to say, I'd love for you to listen in, think about this, and then let us know. Call back. We'll keep a line open just for you. So when you call and say, I have an answer for the heaven question, we can sit down and we can talk to you, because I really want to know. I want to know how you can believe that a heaven is true, where that is absolute paradise. No, hold on. That is absolute paradise, and you can't feel bad, but you would feel bad, right? Those two things, right? You can't feel bad and you would feel bad. Either you're lying or those two cannot exist together.
It's paradise for those who accepted the truth of the Lord and made it there, but it's like anything else in life. You can sit around and tell people, hey, don't go in these woods over there. There's a snake up in there. They go in there.
So, John,
you can take the right path and don't.
But that doesn't say anything about whether or not you would feel bad, John. What does it? I would tell you what I would do, John, right? If I wound up in heaven and I looked and I saw people that I loved, and hell, even people I didn't know, who were suffering in absolute agony and torment forever, I would never enjoy a moment of heaven. Beyond that, I would cry. I would cry out in pain and solidarity for those people that are suffering. And then you know what I would do, John? I would look at that God who put them there, and I would say, how could you? Does anything happen in this world that your God doesn't make happen? Anything, John?
It's a battle against God and Satan.
No. So do you think God can made Satan? Do you think God doesn't control Satan? If Satan does something, do you think your God doesn't know? Is Satan as powerful as your God? Is this some kind of two gods that are equal?
He's going to do away with it.
Yeah. John?
Why not already?
He'd rule over.
Yeah, that has nothing to do. Please listen back to this tape. What you did is you talked past what I said. You didn't listen to what I said. You just waited until your turn. Right?
So I'm gonna hop in here because I think, John, we're gonna have to wrap it up for this week. Are you able to call back next week? I'm
going to pray for y'all, man. I'm going to let the Lord talk to y'all, man. I try. I just hope that y'all get y'all life together, and I see you in heaven one day.
All right, but before you hang up, let me send you with a couple of things. One, I hope that you call back 2, I'm sure that if you ask a preacher, he will tell you that God works through his followers, and given that you're a follower of God and that you would like God to speak with us, he might try and speak with us through you, and so you should call back. And 3, what I would say is there is a passage in the Bible that describes the joys of heaven and lists among them the joy that people in heaven feel when they look down at those damned who are in hell and being tortured for it and smile because of that. And so I would say there's probably a little bit of a Bible study there for you, and I hope that you call back next week.
I'm going to pray for y'all, man. I hope
that's
y'all accept Christ into your life.
All right.
And I really hope you can wake up.
We will talk to you next week.
Yeah.
We're going to keep thinking for you, helping you find your way.
Because you're not thinking for yourself, John.
And that might be the most condescending thing I've said on this show.